Okay, Mr. Flores, we're ready.
Thank you, sir. The October 21st, 2020 regular meeting is called to order at 6:42 p.m. Let the minutes show that Adan Escobar is not in attendance. Sylvia Gonzalez is experiencing technical difficulties, but should be on here momentarily. Can we all please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which
it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor the Texas flag.
Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, first order of business is communications and visitors. Mrs. Michelle Gonzalez.
Mr. Flores, board members, Dr. Vigil, we do have one communication to share with you this evening. This communication comes from Benita Chacon, and she writes, "Good evening, Dr. Vigil, board president, Mr. Flores, board members, and community members. I want to thank Dr. Vigil and the school board members for working as a team, student, staff, and community safety first. Thank you, administrators, custodians, nurses, staff, students, and community members in doing what is in your power to keep one another safe in these challenging times. Please don't let your guard down and continue to practice social distancing, wear your mask correctly, practice good hygiene, and stay home when you are not feeling well. We are a team, and a team takes care of one another. Respectfully, Benita R. Chacon."
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that one?
Yes, sir, just one.
Okay, thank you. Next order of business is a superintendent's report. Dr. Vigil.
Board President Flores and board members and guests, I have 3 initiatives that I'd like to discuss this evening. The first initiative is a partnership with Walden University. We are working with Steve Knipp and Daryl Luzzo. Walden University is accredited by the Higher Learning Commission and committed to quality assurance and continuous improvement of the institution. Though through my membership with the Texas Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents, or TALAS, I was introduced to Mr. Daryl Luzzo. Fabens ISD was one of 3 districts selected to participate in a partnership with Walden University at no cost to the district to support our district in the area of digital teaching and learning. Other areas of support will be determined after a qualitative assessment takes place by interviewing some members in the district. They are currently conducting a gap analysis. As of yesterday, the Walden team had completed 5 interviews, with 1 additional interview scheduled next Tuesday. These interviews had included teachers and principals. They are receiving the feedback, and this feedback will help to determine the highest priority need areas within the digital teaching and learning for the district. So we look forward to that partnership with Walden University. The next initiative, we've talked a little bit about positive behavior interventions and supports. This is PBIS, and Fabens is one of 3 districts in Region 19 to implement a district PBIS team with support and training from Region 19. The training does start this Friday by Mr. Wes Temple of Region 19. The district team includes administrators, counselors, and teachers who will be tasked with evaluating campuses and district level discipline data and supporting campus PBIS teams with coaching and training, ensuring sustainability is not lost when there are changes in the staff. So what is PBIS? It's a proactive approach that schools use to improve school safety and promote positive behavior. The focus of PBIS is prevention, not punishment. At its heart, PBIS calls on schools to teach students positive behavior strategies, just as they would teach any other subject like reading and math. In these schools, all students learn about behavior, including those with IEPs and 504 plans. According to several studies, PBIS leads to better student behavior. In many schools that use PBIS, students receive fewer detentions and suspensions and earn better grades. There is also evidence that PBIS leads to less bullying. So we're excited about launching a district team that will support the campus teams. It's an added layer of support. Finally, the third initiative is associated with the Gates Foundation. I was contacted by Rosa Elodia Apodaca. She is the executive director at the Institute for Learning at the University of Pittsburgh. She offered a partnership opportunity made available by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to develop a high-impact mathematics plan for grades 6 through 8 using mathematics materials that our district is already using. It's the Go Math curriculum. The RFP calls for our partnership to develop a plan to increase district, school, and teacher capacity to implement a coherent instructional system with integrity for students who are African American, Latino, emergent multilingual students, and those experiencing poverty. The 2021 school year is a planning year, and so it is in 2 different phases. They did ask the district to submit a letter to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they were very excited about working with our district. And we did send them the letter, and it indicates that we will find out whether the first phase of this is approved before January 2021. Another exciting initiative for math instruction at the middle school. So those are the 3 initiatives that I wanted to brief the board on today.
All right, do we have any questions? And just for the record, Mrs. Sylvia Gonzalez is
I'm
now-
here. Okay, I'm here.
Thank you.
Outside.
Oh, you're outside?
Yes, I am.
Terry, she's outside. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go back inside. Yeah.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Vigil. Next order of business is a consent agenda. Dr. Vigil.
The board members, in your packet, you received the information regarding the items on the consent agenda, which include minutes of the Board of Trustees regular board meeting, September 16, 2020, minutes of the Board of Trustees workshop meeting, September 24, 2020, minutes of the Trustees special meeting, September 30th, 2020, minutes of the Board of Trustees special meeting, October 15, 2020, 2020 property value study from Linebarger, Gogan, Blair, and Sampson, LLP, Fabens ISD monthly and quarterly financials, and the Texas School Safety Center campus facility reports. Administration recommends approval of items on consent agenda, on the consent agenda.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Okay, motion has been made by Mr. Ben Morales
I second that.
and seconded by Mrs. Rosemary Gallo Avite. A motion has been made and is seconded, is now open for discussion. If there's no discussion.
Mr. Flores.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Flores, on the discussion on G, can we pull G to see what on the reports, separate packets? I want to know when we receive those. Can we have it as a discussion?
You wanted to pull G,
Yes.
Texas School Safety Center campus facility reports?
Yes.
You want, Dr. Hill, you have, we want to pull this out for discussion before we approve. Is there something specifically you'd like to know, Mrs. Gonzalez?
Just on the reports, Mr. Flores, that on the facility reports, have they submitted that to us?
Yes.
It
They
was in
look
the,
like this, Sylvia.
I'm asking Dr. Vigil.
Oh,
Yes, they were submitted. There was a packet of all of the campuses.
Did the board receive it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just a confirmation. Thank you.
yes, ma'am. Okay, motion on the table and seconded. Mr. Sepulveda,
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mrs. Gallo Avitia,
I had a question on that, but I was on mute when we started to vote. I can't ask the question anymore?
oh ma'am, we're already voting.
I abstain.
Mr. Morales,
Aye.
Mr. Spence,
Aye.
Mr. Flores, aye. Motion carries 5 4, 1 abstention. Okay, next order of business. Discussion and take appropriate action regarding the distribution of the proceeds of the settlement between Fabens ISD as a member of the Rate 41 Group interveners and Public Utility Commission applicants El Paso Electric Company and Sun Jupiter Holdings in the Public Utility Commission of Texas proceeding related to the sale, transfer, or merger of El Paso Electric Company to a J.P. Morgan Infrastructure Investments Fund, docket number 49849, Public Utility Commission of Texas. Dr. Vigil?
Yes, Board President Flores, board members, I have asked Mr. Safi to be available if you have any questions. So I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Dr. Vigil. President Flores, trustees. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
great. What you have on tonight's agenda on item 5A is approval of actually the details of the distribution of the $2 million total amount that the board previously approved by way of settlement of the El Paso Electric Company proceeding before the Public Utility Commission. As you'll recall, El Paso Electric Company filed a proceeding with the Utility Commission regarding actually its sale to a J.P. Morgan subsidiary. And as part of the settlement, because the district joined with other entities called the Rate 41 Group, the local school districts, also the county and Region 19 and Community College District, that are able to avail themselves of this special discounted rate, which is referred to as Rate 41. And all those entities joined together and objected to certain portions of that proceeding. And ultimately it was settled. And the agreement, as far as the Rate 41 group was that a lump sum of $2 million would be paid to the Rate 41 group after all the necessary regulatory approvals had been given for the merger, for the acquisition and merger of the El Paso Electric Company by this J.P. Morgan subsidiary. All those approvals have now been obtained, and the $2 million is now ready to be paid over. So as I say, the board previously approved of that total settlement amount, but the various entities, including the Fabens board, had not previously approved of how that money would be distributed. And representatives of the various entities did have a Zoom meeting some time ago, and the idea was put forward that it would be appropriate for each entity to obtain a percentage of this settlement fund that would correspond to the percentage of attorney's fees that they had paid, which in turn is based on the kilowatt usage by that entity of rate 41 accounts during a 12-month period. And as you can see, what's currently being exhibited is a chart showing each of the rate 41 entities and the kilowatt hours attributable to that entity during the 12-month period, and then what that translates to as a percentage. And you can see the Fabens ISD percentage is 1.11%. And that represents also the percentage of the attorney's fees that were paid by the Fabens ISD. So what the board is being asked to approve tonight is approval of distribution of the $2 million according to those percentages. The 1.11% of the Fabens district, when applied to the $2 million, yields a product of $22,200, which will be the cash amount coming back to the district. And also the board is being asked to approve that the fiscal agent to receive the $2 million and then to distribute it according to these percentages be the El Paso Independent School District, which is, as you can see, has the largest percentage. It also bore the largest percentage of the expense and acted as fiscal agent for collection of each entity's share of the attorney's fees that were paid to the attorneys in Austin that were representing the rate 41 group. So what the board's being asked to approve is approval of the distribution of the proceeds of the settlement, whereby each entity would receive a percentage of the settlement proceeds equal to the percentage of the total attorney's fees paid by that entity, and also authorizing the El Paso School District to act as fiscal agent for distribution of the settlement proceeds. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Have any questions?
Mr. Safi, this is Mr.
Yes, sir.
Morales.
Yes, sir.
This amount, the $22,200, is this amount after attorney's fees and all that?
No, sir. That the district, this is a gross amount coming back to the district. The district's attorney's fees that it paid, I don't have that exact figure. Perhaps Dr. Vihil has it, would have been less than this amount. I think the amount paid by the district would have been, I believe, would have been something less than half this amount. Dr. Vihil, do you have that figure?
I don't have it handy. I apologize. I don't have it handy.
Would you agree that it was $10,000 or less total?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Something in that range. So this would be, as I say, twice or over twice the amount that the district paid in attorney's fees, but it's not net of attorney's fees.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
To the chair,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to accept as presented and as explained by legal.
Okay, motion has been made by Ms. Ray Sepulveda
Second, Ms. Gonzalez.
and second by Mrs. Sylvia Gonzalez. Okay, motion has been made and the second is now open for discussion. Since there's no discussion, I'll call the question. Mr. Sepulveda,
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez,
Aye.
Mrs. Gallo Avita,
Aye.
Mr. Morales,
Aye.
Mr. Spence,
Aye.
Mr. Flores, aye. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr.
Uh,
Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Might I be excused from the balance of the meeting, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Good night to y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Safi.
Yes, ma'am.
Board President Flores, could I ask that we push up items 5E followed by 5H? We do have some guests to present those items.
5E being the roof update?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that'll be fine.
And then followed by 5H.
And 5H. Yes, ma'am. Okay, that'll be fine. So we're going to jump over to 5E, which is the Fabens ISD roof update. So Dr. Vigil.
I believe we have Mr. Brad Draper as a presenter. Are you here, Mr. Draper?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, I'll turn it over to you now.
Okay. Can I share my screen by chance?
Mandio, can he share his screen? Can you enable that, please?
Yes, Mr. Draper, I just promoted you to panelist, so you should be able to share your screen, sir.
At this time, so we'll walk through this. I'll try to be thorough but brief at the same time as well. Get going here. The start off, we've reviewed the damages and the claim that was made, or the adjustment that was made by the insurance company's adjusters, and I'll run through that with you real quick. Fabens High School, they awarded some aluminum coating to the roofs, approximately 18 to 19,000 feet at this particular location. At the O'Donnell campus, they awarded, again, elastomeric coating of approximately 8,200 feet, along with the coating on top of the cafeteria at approximately 6,000 square feet. They also awarded the early cottages as far as coating goes from that standpoint. They, the multi-purpose room, which would have been back at the, on the high school campus, was also awarded for coating. The annex building, we have an aluminum coating on that was awarded at approximately 5,000 square feet. Also the boiler building. At the junior high, they awarded aluminum coating at this facility, which is totaling approximately 94,000 square feet. Fabens Elementary School, they awarded approximately 100,344 square feet. At the Central Library and Media Center, approximately 9,000 square feet. The Women's Club building, they awarded an elastomeric coating there at approximately 5,600 square feet. The administration building, they awarded a coating there of 835 square feet. Technology building, they awarded approximately 6,400 square feet of coating there. At the Ben Madrid maintenance building, they awarded approximately 18,000 square feet on that facility. The records room, they awarded approximately 2,300 square foot of coating. And basically that is what they have awarded. We have reviewed their findings. In our opinion, They have been extremely generous with their awards. However, on their prices per square foot, we're still trying to evaluate that. The way that we could get the fair settlement for the district there would be to write a set of specifications and put that out on the open market for bid, as we alluded to you when we began. Is there any questions?
Questions? No questions.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Our next, thank you, President Flores. Our next course of action is we will be getting with Ruben and the business office and try to get some dates for bid and possibly publication for bids. And we'll be coordinating that. So we'll be coming back to you after we receive those bids.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Also, like Mr. Safi asked, do y'all need me anymore tonight?
I don't believe so. Dr. Heath?
No, sir. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Next order of business, we're jumping over to 5H. And so this is the cooperative agreement between Fabens ISD and Pediatric Urgent Care PA. Dr. Vigil?
President Flores and board members, we have, I'm not sure if Tracy is here, Tracy Spinner and Kevin to present. You received in your backup the cooperative agreement between Fabens Independent School District and Pediatric Urgent Care. They're here to answer any questions that you may have. Are you both here, Tracy and Kevin?
Yeah, hello, this is Kevin. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
now we can.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to give a brief overview if that would help. Certainly, if there are questions to get us started, happy to answer those as well. So would it be helpful for me to give just a brief overview?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. Well, thank you guys for having us. We're really excited to present to you guys and to be partners, hopefully. We had the opportunity to connect with the district earlier about this week. As you guys probably are aware, your district has been selected, but in the state of Texas is one of the pilot districts for the COVID testing program. And what we do organizationally is we actually bring on-demand doctors and on-site diagnostic testing into school settings. We've been doing it across Texas for a couple of years now. El Paso ISD, actually, one of your neighboring districts, was one of our first districts to launch in. Since that time, we've launched the program across, I think it's about 700,000 covered lives. So 700,000 students and nearing about 1,000 schools in Texas. And what it is it brings, we provide for free to the district the hardware, software, as well as on-site medical supplies that are there to help treat your population. In this time of COVID, where you are going to have the opportunity to provide rapid on-site testing for COVID. Not only do we have pretty deep experience with COVID testing, we've been doing it now in schools for a couple of months since some of the schools have reopened. We also do it in the Big 12 Conference, American Athletic Conference, a number of large employers and universities across the state. So we're very knowledgeable in how to deliver on-site rapid COVID testing in both a systematic population, from a systematic and population perspective, but also from a symptomatic on-demand perspective when you actually have sick kiddos or staff or even family members if needed on site there. So not only do we help you with the COVID testing, we actually provide additional supplies and services such as rapid strep, flu. We can treat the common cold and a number of other things. So why that's important right now, as you guys probably have seen or are going to see here pretty soon, is there's a lot of signs and symptoms that look a lot like COVID that may not be COVID. And as the school year unfolds and even into next semester, it will become extremely important to be able to differentiate between the two. Whether or not a student or staff member has strep or flu versus COVID has a drastic difference in how you treat it. But then it also has a pretty big difference from the district's perspective for things like attendance and even academic performance. So it's a comprehensive program that's at no cost to the district that we bring, again, on-site diagnostic testing, as well as on-demand pediatric and family care providers that can help support your health services department. So hopefully that's an overview that helps you guys, gives you a little bit of flavor of what we can provide here. But I'm happy to dive in and answer some more questions as you guys have them.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, through the chair, this is Mr. Morales.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Spinner or Mr. Dr. Vigil, this program is going to be in what campus or situated in one specific campus, or how is it going to go about?
It's available for all campuses, Mr. Morales.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Question, Mr. Flores.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it going to be a free program for this area?
So I can answer that. Yeah,
Yes.
so the program is free to the district, yeah, and just to be clear, all the COVID testing right now is going to be free to anyone, so the patients as well.
So, sir, if I forgot your name, can you please repeat your name, please?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
sorry, it's Kevin Pierce.
Mr. Pierce, my question to you is that, say, for instance, you mentioned that some of the symptoms that there are close to related to COVID. So like strep or cold, whatever, will you be testing those too, or only the COVID?
No, we'll actually the service we can test all of them, and when I say all of them, be clear, anything that we can test within the scope of our service. So strep and flu are definitely things that we test for. We do RSV, pink eye, things that would be.
Yes.
Just think of it as contagious, especially. You want to really be focused on the contagious ailment.
And it'll be open to the community, sir, or just school students in the public schools here in Fabens?
That'd be actually a district question. So from a capability perspective, we can provide on-demand providers that can help really all ages, but it is definitely focused on the school district. So we like to work with the district leadership to make sure that we're designing it in a way that makes sense for your district and your population.
So that being said, sir, they would be just students that are attending our district, correct? And
that would be up to the district. We do, I would say, most of our school district partnerships limit it to the students and staff. We do have some that allow for certain family members to obtain testing as well. But really it's focused on students and staff. That's the goal.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Through the chair.
You're welcome.
I have a question. So do we know where it's going to be housed, Dr. Vigil?
This is in conjunction, or they work directly with our school nurses.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Well, if there's no other questions, we really appreciate it. We like free things here at Fabens ISD.
We're
So
happy to
administration
help.
does recommend approval and execution of the cooperative agreement between Fabens ISD and Pediatric Urgent Care.
Make a motion.
Okay, motion has been made by Ms. Sylvia Gonzalez,
Second.
second by Mr. Ben Morales. Motion has been made and second is now open for discussion. Since there's no discussion, I will call the question. Mr. Sepulveda.
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mrs. Gallo Avita.
Aye.
Mr. Morales.
Aye.
Mr. Spence. Mr. Spence. I think we lost Mr. Spence. I don't see him on the panelist list. Okay, well, we'll move on here. Maybe he'll text us. Mr. Flores, aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. And would you guys like me to stick around any longer, or is it okay if I drop off?
Okay to drop off. Thank you.
Okay, y'all be well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Bye-bye.
Spears. Thank you.
Okay, now remind me we got to go back to the item. What is it? B?
We're back to 5B as in boy.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay, next order of business, selection of November 2020 board meeting date to finalize Fabens ISD Board of Trustees election. Dr. Vigil.
Mr. Flores, Mr. Spence did send a text. He said he lost the signal and he's trying to get back on.
Okay.
Trying to find my place.
Page 64.
Okay, so as you can see on the calendar, the election date is November 3rd, 2020. Canvassing of the election must take place between November 6th and November 17, 2020. Our regular board meeting is scheduled for November 18th, 2020. The board can vote to move the November regular board meeting or schedule a special board meeting. The last day to canvass is the 17th, one day before our regularly scheduled board meeting. So we could move it back a day or schedule a special board meeting.
Okay, I'm looking at my calendar. I'm good with moving it up one day. But that's how I feel. I can work on that. I don't know how everybody else feels.
To the chair.
Yes,
Sorry,
sir.
I barely got on. This is Greg. I didn't hear what you guys are talking about.
Okay, what we're doing is we're on the on page 64. It's the selection of the November 2020 board meeting date to finalize Fabens ISD Board of Trustees election. And so in order for us to canvass the votes and all that, we have to do it before the last day we can do it is the day before our regular scheduled board meeting, which is on November 18th. So so what we were talking about is possibly moving it up just one day to the Tuesday on the 17th, or have an extra meeting, like have a special meeting. So that's up to what you all think.
To the board.
Yes, sir.
The 17th will be fine.
Okay, I'm good with the 17th as well. How does everybody else feel? So we would just be moving our regular board meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Flores,
Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Vigil, like for instance, if we were to move it to the 11th, would it be, would you all be ready for that? If we were to move it a week before to have the regular meeting, Dr. Vigil, was that enough time for you? They were to do it on the 11th?
If I'm being honest, probably not. With the vacancy in the chief business officer position, we'd be working on the financials and trying to get that. I'm not sure that would give us enough time, Mrs. Gonzalez.
Okay, Dr. Vigil, so on the 17th, we would have a regular meeting instead of the 18th?
Yes, ma'am. We can do that. That's an option.
I think, I think that would be, because since that would be a great idea, because due to the fact that people don't want to come to many meetings and we're scheduling too many meetings. So I think at the 17th, we can wrap it up like a board meeting, and also you can discuss the election results on the 17th. If the board would like to agree on that.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. We've heard from Ms. Gonzalez, Mr. Sepulveda, Ms. Guayo Avitia, Mr. Morales, Mr. Spence. What do y'all think?
17 is okay.
Okay.
I make the motion for the 17th.
Okay,
I second, Mr. Gonzalez.
Okay, motion has been made by Mr. Greg Spence, second by Mrs. Sylvia Gonzalez, and the motion has been made and second is now open for discussion. Since there's no discussion, I will call the question. Mr. Sepulveda.
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mrs. Gallo Avitia.
Aye.
Mr. Morales.
Aye.
Mr. Spence.
Aye.
Mr. Flores, aye. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, next order of business, discussion and approval of revisions to Fabens ISD board policies, DED local, compensation and benefits, vacation and holidays. Dr. Vihit.
Mr. Flores, board members, the DED local is in your packet as backup. It's also on the screen, and it currently has both of those of the two wordings. They're both there. And so what our recommendation is the approval of this revision to eliminate the words, "An employee shall forfeit any vacation days earned in 2018-2019 school year and not used by December 31, 2019. The reason for the proposed revision is that all employees have used their vacation days which were earned in 2018-2019. That we don't have any cases anymore where that is where that exists in our district. The second portion still does exist. Any vacation days an employee accumulated before July 1, 2014 shall remain available until used. So administration does recommend approval of the requested revisions to Fabens ISD board policy DED local, compensation and benefits, vacation and holidays.
To the chair,
Yes, sir.
like to make the motion as presented, to
Okay.
accept it as presented.
Okay, motion has been made by Mr. Ray Sepulveda,
Second.
second by Mr. Ben Morales. Motion has been made and is seconded and is now open for discussion. Since there's no discussion, I'll call the question. Mr. Sepulveda.
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mrs. Gallo Avitia.
Aye.
Mr. Morales.
Aye.
Mr. Spence.
Aye.
Flores, aye. Motion carries 6-0. Next order of business, Wildcat Den update, Dr. Vihit.
I'll turn over the presentation to Mr. Ruben Carrillo.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh. Good evening, Board President, Mr. Flores, Dr. Vigil, Superintendent, and members of the board. I'm here to report on the inspection report that Mr. Robert Martinez provided to the TDLR, which is your Texas Department of License and Regulation. I apologize that he wasn't able to be here. So what I did is I presented I have the report as he sent it to me, as it was sent to the licensing, to the TDLR. So I'm gonna start with the first. Apparently, what he's stating is there's the next page, Mario, is the letter that was the email that was sent to to Dr. Vigil, saying that unless you need additional, no response is necessary. And they're thanking them for submitting the information. That the response form has been stored in the project, indicating that all TAS violations have been corrected. So that's some good news. And then we'll go to the next page. The items are not in order. I don't know why he put them in different order, but I didn't want to do anything to the report that would compromise anything on there. You'll even see a couple of misspells, typos. So the first one is there are 2 parking lots serving the new multi-purpose building. These are the findings that that they had. Oh, so they're so what it says, the one closest the accessible entrance does not have any accessible parking spaces provided. All parking facility lots are required to provide accessible spaces based on the total number of parking spaces provided. Parking spaces serving a particular building are required to be located on the shortest accessible route to an accessible entrance. The accessible parking spaces in the back parking lot may be closest to entrances to locker rooms, but are not to public entrances, and require a person to travel all the way around the building to enter. So his response is that the parking lot in question was not part of their VMAX scope of work and included in the contract. And so what he went ahead and he attached a list and sent it to Dr. Vigil way back a couple of months ago. So Mario, can you go to the map? So see the original one is the student parking lot. That's what they were talking about. Next page, Mario. Item 10, the wall-mounted drinking fountains outside on the locker room walls are protruding objects with a leading edge higher than 27 and protruding out form the wall into the circulation path more than 4 inches. It says that so what they did is they added some rails. I asked them, what were those rails for? And he basically said, for example, as he put it, he says, if there's a blind person, they could hit themselves, run into it. So they put those rails so that they can, I guess, with the cane, they'll be able to know that there's a water fountain there or there's a something sticking out. So next page, Mario. The bleachers installed provide only 4 locations for wheel seating. These 4 locations are provided only at the end of a row and not dispersed as shown on plans reviewed. Wheelchair spaces are required to be dispersed so that spectators have choices of seating locations and viewing angles equal to or better than seats available to others. Companion seats are not provided as required. I don't know if you recall going back to Ken Yarrington. So those spaces were open. And so Ken Yarrington he said that they were being compromised, so we needed to put it back in. But if we needed to, and at anyone's request, we could just go ahead and pull one out. And once you're getting ready to pull the bleachers back in, then you would put them back in. So his response was bleachers were installed per attached plan sheet, which is ADA compliant. Handicap seats are under existing bleachers and can easily be accessed. Maintenance crew was instructed on how to set them up. Next page, Mario. Item 7, the laboratories are all missing insulation or protection from pipes at the knee space as required. This is typical of all restrooms. His response was addressed. As you can see in the picture, you have those insulations now. Next one, Mario. The wall-mounted electric hand dryers in restrooms protrude more than 4 inches into the circulation path and are mounted above the 27-inch limit. The way they addressed it was addressed is by adding protective railings, as you can see there in the picture. Same scenario that I gave you earlier. That's how it helps them. Next picture, next one, Mike. The ramps inside the main entry to the building to the seating area bleachers do not have consistent compliant slopes. The ramp on the left, this was the original statement. As you walk in, has a slope on the first ramp run of 10.7%. The middle or second run is 9.3. The last run measures 8.9. All over, 8.3 is allowed and is required. So as you can see, all of them were past the 8.3 allowed. On the lamps to the right, it says center ramp has a slope of 9%. It was addressed, ramps were removed and replaced, and you can see all the attached slopes, and it starts from the right ramp, and that was 7.6, right ramp middle, right ramp bottom, left ramp top, and so on. And so what I did is I went with him and I said, no, you know, I need to be there with you. I want to see it. And sure enough, they were all way less than 8.3. So you see a lot of pictures. Continue. Some of those are your rails, and they've all been installed back when since the rails were not part of the ADA report or compliance. He still put those pictures, but all ramps right now are up, but however, they're not painted. Continue. Thank you. That's basically the way they look right now. Okay, item 4. Most of the signage at permanent rooms are mounted incorrectly. The correct location for signs on the strike side of doors is centered 9 inches from the door jamb. Well, the distances vary. The average is about 14 to 15 from the door jamb to the center of the sign. So his response is that as you can see, if you look at the tape measure from the correct location of the signs, it says it had to be 9 inches from the center of the door jamb. So what he did is he took pictures from the door jamb out at 9 inches. The ones before were 14 inches, 15 inches. So for example, if a blind person, they know that at 9 inches, they will have the encryption there. Thank you. Next one, Mario. Item 5, there are 2 shelves mounted on the wall at the top end of each ramp. These are just inside the vestibules 106 and 109. The shelves are considered protruding objects as they are higher than 27 inches and project out from the wall surface more than 4 inches into the circulation path. What he did is he removed those. I don't know if you remember, many of you, when you went to the games, what they did is they asked them that they had shelves that were about 6 inches that stood out so that they could put their phones there and charge their phones. But it was a violation because once again, they could run into it. So what he did is he removed them. Next one, Mario. Bleachers in locker room, missing. So what, if you look at the photos, he went ahead and put he put 2 of them. There's the pictures. And the last one, item number 10, lockers provided and labeled as accessible are not accessible. The reach up to the hooks inside the lockers are not within reach. Range is allowed. The hooks inside the lockers are at 63 inches and the shelf at 63 inches above the floor. So what he did is he went ahead and fixed it. See attached photo. And the picture on the left is not clear. So what I did is I asked him to send me the one that was clear. And what he did when he corrected it is he put the shelf and the hooks at 47 inches, which is in compliance. And that's the report that he sent. Again, I apologize that he wasn't able to attend. Are there any questions?
Mr. Carrillo, this is Mr. Morales.
Hi, Mr. Morales.
Good evening. Could you go back to the benches, please?
Yes.
I mean, how long are those benches? Is there any, I mean, are we allowed to put more or?
No, there, as you can see, those benches are put for your handicap. And you see those signs of the lockers? They're for your handicaps. So for example, if somebody's in a wheelchair, I don't know what the handicap might be, they would sit there instead of having to sit in the concrete ones.
All right.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Hi, Mr. Sepula.
Hey, Mr. Carrillo. Mr. Carrillo, you had mentioned that the scope and sequence of the whole project didn't involve the creation of a handicap parking, because there was a handicap parking towards the back that would lead up to the athletic doorway, right? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, which is fine. But under the ADA, what did you find as far as the ADA to the front of the den for all handicapped people? What did you find under the ADA policy?
I would need to look at the policy. What I did.
You mean you haven't done it?
What I did, he said we were compliant. We were compliant by having the ones in the back.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
This is a filling out of a form that was sent to the district. And that's what Mr. Martinez did. He was filling out the form of anything and everything that was going to be addressed. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's one item. The other item, when you spoke about how they put those railings surrounding the water fountains, so in case somebody with a cane would come by there, the ADA also specifies certain mats that trigger the vibration of the canes before they get up to any and all places that have anything extruding from the walls. And then also, you had also said that and I saw the pictures of the levels, the levels he had for the ramps. Again, if they were addressed, who inspected the welding on those rails? Because they were retrofitted. They were cut and retrofitted to those ramps.
Those are not complete yet. He hasn't completed it, so I would like for him to. I'm going to take the note of that, and
because
it hasn't been completed. But thank you for letting me know. I will ask him.
If this is a submission of a final.
What he said to me is that the rail was not part of the compliance, that it was the slope. So I will ask him, and maybe we can report to you on the next board meeting as far as who is inspecting.
That's exactly what I'm asking, because this is a form that was submitted, and this form is filled out as per what was addressed on that particular den. Am I correct?
Yes.
And if those rails are not finished, like you said, why are we looking at those pictures?
I'm saying that it's not finished as far. I didn't do that report. I couldn't answer to you why those pictures were added to the report.
Mr. Carrillo, I believe that what is being addressed is the slope of the incline, and so that's what was addressed. And as a result of I don't know, for lack of a better word, having to stretch out or address the slope, it it increased the area where the rails were. And so they had to repair the rails so that there would be railing along the whole incline of the slope. So those are all questions that Mr. Carrillo has recorded, and we will certainly get back to you with those answers, Mr. Sepulveda.
Yes, and also Dr. Vigil, since you did interject that, I'm going to ask you then, those particular rails also have a standard for ADA, for them to meet ADA standards. We just don't go around putting railings on any type of ramp. There's ADA standards for compliance.
Yes, sir.
Because anybody and everybody could put any type of railings, but this is for ADA standards.
Yes,
and this
sir.
is federal. This is federal.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also, Mr. Carrillo, another thing that I did wanted to touch base with you on is on the slope, cross slopes that lead up to the landing on the ramps. When a handicapped person, a wheelchair person goes up the ramp, that also has its own standards and its own cross slopes. So that, like I said, this is a form that was filled out by a particular, well, in this case, it was a contractor, submitted to the state and letting them know what they've done. Now, the inspection of that work, I don't think the state has come in there and inspected it, have they?
No, sir, you're correct. That there was a deadline by which they needed to complete the work. And so that's exactly what's happening. They're informing the state that they've addressed all items that were notated. And so it would be the next step, that there needs to be an inspection of that. But that has not taken place, sir.
Right, because like I said, what it is just a filling out of things that were addressed, that were asked to be addressed, and they've addressed it. But there's not really an official listing or inspection of those particular listings.
You're correct.
Okay.
Mr. Through the chair, Mr. Carrillo, this is Mr. Morales again.
Mr. Morales.
Is there a particular deadline when all this work is going to be completed?
He keeps extending. I could tell you, he's told me that he would most likely be done in 2 weeks. I can give you an update as to, they already added the muriatic acid to the concrete, and they're working on the floors, and they're gonna move on to painting the rails. And there's a broken window that he also has to get it replaced, some cosmetic stuff. But the most important one, I would say, is the floors. If we ever wanted to start using that building again.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All righty.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to commend Mr. Sepulveda for his expertise. Thank you so much, Mr. Sepulveda.
You're welcome. And thank you, Ms. Gallorita. And also, Mr. Carrillo, I have one more item that I would love for you to look at, because this is going to be very essential for this whole thing. For when this particular form comes back, and they're going to do what everybody knows what a punch list is, and a punch list is going to be an inspection of that particular work that was done. That inspection has to be signed off by the state, and that's pretty much what's going to control this whole project. And for the longest time we've been going, it's going to take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, pushing it. And the state really, to tell you the truth, wants it to just get done at this stage.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cadu.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, next order of business, program evaluations, GT and bilingual ESL. Mrs. Michelle Gonzalez.
Mr. Flores, members of the board, Dr. Vigil, please bear with me for just a minute as I share my screen. Okay, good evening once again. This is the time of the year that we present our bilingual and ESL, as well as our gifted and talented program evaluations. These evaluations are a little bit different this year due to the closure last spring and the cancellation of STAR testing and the changes to TELPAS testing, which I'll go into briefly. But using the data that we do have, we present to you this yearly evaluation. As I mentioned, we did not have STAR testing last year, so we carry over some of the goals we have from the year before. And our goal is to close the gap between our English learners and our all students groups. And so rather than break it down by subject area, which was done for you last year with the same data, we have the overall all tests. So you can see the gap that we do have that we want to close. It's not a large gap, but we want to see all of our students performing equally well while we try to bring up scores for everyone. Every year we have to evaluate to make sure that all of our students in bilingual or ESL programs are being served by appropriately certified staff. So we do evaluate that every year. The campus LPAC committees have a responsibility to review that data in conjunction with their principals. And so we have until November 1st to ensure that that's happening. And last year, and we've never submitted a waiver in my time here, and we do not expect to do one again this year. Should we ever need to do a waiver because we have a teacher that's not appropriately certified, we would have to report that to the board. But at this time, none is expected. Just to review, our program in grades K through 5 is a dual language immersion one-way program. This is a biliteracy program that serves students identified as limited English proficiency. We serve the students in both English and Spanish. We provides for an instructional setting where language learning is integrated with content instruction, and academic subjects are taught to all students through both English and the other language. In the secondary campuses, our program is an ESL pullout. This means that students are served in their English class by a teacher that's certified in English language arts and ESL. And the students remain primarily in mainstream instructional arrangements for the remaining content areas. We do have many other content teachers that are ESL certified as well. And we keep promoting that among our teachers. We want to report to you the number of students, and this is our report from last school year, 2019-20. And each year we'll give you the report from the previous year, but this is our participation in our bilingual and ESL programs. And so you can see the number of students we have per grade level in each of those programs. Of course, those numbers do go down significantly in the high school years because students are exiting that program. Well, we also, parents have the choice if they qualify but choose not to participate in a bilingual or ESL program, that is their right. And so we do track those numbers as well. It is our job to make sure that parents make informed decisions. So it's our job to provide that information of the benefits of these programs to our parents and to track the progress of those students as well. And we do like to see those numbers going down because that reflects confidence in the program. Campuses have reported their efforts last school year. Staff development efforts undertaken by Fabens Elementary to support bilingual education have included use of the TEKS resource system and training thereof. Fundamental 5 strategies across the district which promote listening and speaking in every classroom. TPR and Tejasle, which are assessments of reading in English and Spanish. So students in the 50-50 dual language program are tested in both languages and progress is tracked in both languages for reading. Distance learning strategies and resources were provided, as well as social emotional learning. And last year we had a big focus on lead forward planning instruction to meet the needs of diverse learners. Fabens Elementary provided interventions for their English learners to include iStation based on TALPAS levels. TALPAS levels tell the campus and the teachers at what level the student is performing in English, in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And interventions can be provided for those students that aren't making adequate yearly progress on those levels from beginner, intermediate, advanced to advanced high. All content materials are available in both languages, continue to support the 50-50 program, and those were continued virtually. Light Sail is an online reading program that also provides practices on listening and speaking. Guided reading groups in both languages are provided and tutoring groups as well. Fabens Elementary also provided parent events and communication in both languages, project-based learning with family involvement, cultural awareness days, parent classes, and newsletters. From O'Donnell Intermediate, their interventions also included some distance learning and office hours every day, starting at the closure in last spring. All content materials available in both languages continue the program virtually, just like you saw from Fabens Elementary. TEA tutorials for TALPAS were utilized in preparation for that exam. I will mention that TALPAS became optional last year, and we were able to complete it for those campuses that were done before the sudden closure. And that information was able to be used for exiting students. However, TALPAS was not used in accountability, and not all campuses finished it before the closure, which is not their fault. It was an unexpected closure and the window had not finished yet. For those campuses that didn't finish, they were able to use lost links at the beginning of this school year to continue to test students for exiting. Additional interventions were Light Sail, Mayan, Galaxy Learning, and Reflex Math, guided reading groups in both languages, and tutoring groups. Staff development, like you saw at Fabens Elementary, lead forward, planning instruction to meet the needs of diverse learners, use of TEKS resource system, and professional learning communities. Parent events and communication in both languages, monthly parent meetings, presentations and written notices, monthly parent calendars, Monday college presentations, and Grandparents' Day, to name a few. Fabens Middle School, this is where after the dual language program goes through 5th grade, and at middle school and high school, we start to exit and reclassify our students. Even with the challenges of the closure, which affected us at the end of last year through the beginning of this school year, they were able to exit 28 students. They provided staff development to support English learners, and they provided creating a positive school culture, migrant education training, iStation and Light Sail, which focus on reading, lead forward planning instruction to meet the needs of diverse learners, and TEKS resource system to include instructional focused documents and English language proficiency standards. Interventions at Fabens Middle included TALA small groups. TALA is a test that's designed for middle school students to assess literacy in English. After school tutoring, Friday Academy, Light Sail reading program, and iStation reading. Distance learning supports were provided for our ESL students to include Nearpod, which provided opportunities for speaking and written responses. We had an ESL resource page and parent resources available in Spanish, Mayan, which is an online reading program, and StudySync, which is their new adoption for English language arts, which came with audio features and online and print resources to support our ESL students. Fabens Middle School also had parent and community events. They had a parent night with ballet folklorico dancers, monthly informational meetings for parents that included topics such as the census, book swaps, and 15 apps to watch, which was presented by the Sheriff's Department. Fabens High School exited or reclassified 20 students. They provided staff development on TELPAS and LAS links, light cell training for ESL classes, and lead forward, as did the rest of the campuses. They provided interventions in the form of an additional technical or practical writing course in the student's schedule, and all of those courses are taught by an ESL certified English teacher. And light cell became an intervention as well. They also had distance learning supports, very similar to middle school, which included Nearpod, the ESL resource page, building background sentence stems for speaking, closed captioned videos so students could read along, Nearpod visuals, and Spanish story summaries from HMH. HMH is the new adoption for Fabens High School for English language arts. And so a student that's going to read a complicated story in English can get a quick summary in Spanish, and that helps build their background to be more successful as they go on to read in English. Our combined campus goals include evaluating resources and ensuring equitable access. That's an ongoing goal. Monitoring program fidelity and use of ELP strategies, monitoring program virtually, increasing TELPAS progress. Last year, we reported on TELPAS scores. Because we only have partial scores this year, those are useful for the campuses, but it wouldn't be fair to report them out as not all students were able to complete it. And it's not part of our accountability this year, but we are using what we were able to get. And of course, we want to improve our STAR and end of course reading and writing for this group, and reduce retention and dropout rates for our English learners. Before I move on to gifted and talented education, does anybody have any questions regarding bilingual or ESL programs? Okay, moving on to gifted and talented education. We have our definition, the state definition for gifted and talented. It's children or youth who display outstanding talent and perform or show the potential for performing at remarkably high levels of accomplishment when compared to others of their age, experience, or environment. The number of students, GT students served in the 1920 school year are broken down by grade levels, as you see here. Kindergarten was able to complete their testing before the closure. The other grade levels have moved their testing from the spring to the fall. So we may see 2 rounds of testing this school year to make up for that, because we did have some students who were referred and we need to complete that testing. So we've already met with all of our GT leads at the campuses to get that completed. But they've had great communication with the parents in all of those cases. Our GT program in elementary grades K through 5 includes weekly pull-out program focused on STEM, research, literature, leadership, and the arts. In addition to that pull-out, the general classroom teacher provides differentiated instruction. Extracurricular participation is encouraged through UIL, Destination Imagination, and clubs. And field trips focus on college and career exploration. In the secondary grades 6 through 12, the GT program consists of differentiation within advanced courses such as pre-AP, AP, dual credit, and STEM courses, opportunities for independent study, leadership opportunities, extracurricular participation encouraged in UIL, Student Council, Honor Society, Fine Arts, and field trips focused on college and career exploration. Our goals, we have some continued goals, and we have some new goals, and we have some met goals. So I'll go over those. Last year, we presented to you improve family engagement activities. We've added to that. We have already met this year with our GT leads, and they are going to be doing family information nights before the new round of referrals. So as they continue this fall with students who were referred last year, when they do the new round in the spring, they'll have an information night that's open to any parent, not just GT parents. Anybody who wants information, because parents can also refer their kids for testing. We want to make sure that's very clear. We also developed a parent survey and a teacher survey that's going out. All the campus leads had some input into those surveys, and they will be sending those out as part of their needs assessment to make improvements to their campus improvement plans and the district improvement plan regarding GT. They will promote participation on GT. Our continuing goal is to promote parent participation on GT campus and district improvement teams. And we do have a GT representative on our district improvement team. So we're happy with that. But that's a continued goal. For identification, we still have the goal to meet the state participation rate of 8%. We're still below that. I think with our efforts this year, we will make great progress towards that goal. We want to ensure representation of English learners through coordination with LPACs. The LPAC committees get trained on how to recognize kids that have a gift for language. We mentioned TELPAS scores. For example, a student that goes from a beginner to advanced in 1 year shows signs of giftedness, and we don't want them overlooked because they're still learning English. So we need that input from LPAC, and we need to encourage our bilingual and ESL teachers to make nominations for GT as well. We want to increase leadership opportunities at all levels. We want to create and monitor individualized plans at the secondary level. So this was met. Ms. Peña is our GT lead, and now she's a literacy coach at high school. She reviews every single schedule of every GT student in high school, because that's where you start to really individualize. They're exposed to a lot in the elementary grades. In high school, we want to make sure our GT students are challenging themselves in the appropriate areas and taking those advanced courses. And so she does those individual reviews and guides those students to the opportunities that meet their needs and talents. So we're very happy to have her in that role. And training for new campus testers and teachers is new and ongoing. As there's turnover, we want to make sure our campus leads are properly trained in the tests we're using. And we continue to review the 30-hour training that our teachers who provide services, whether it be differentiation or the pull-out program, and we want to make sure they get their yearly update as well. New teachers are sent to virtual training with Region 19 to complete their 30 hours of GT training if they don't already have some of that done. Many of them do have some of their hours when they arrive to us, and then we provide the rest. We want to thank you for supporting programs that promote the growth of our greatest resource, our students. Are there any questions at this time?
Ms. Gonzalez, this is Mr. Morales.
Yes, sir.
You say we haven't met the state participation of 8%. How much of a percent do we have right now?
I showed you the participation overall. It varies from grade level to grade level. We'll have a grade level that does meet 8%, and then we'll have another grade level that's down to 2%. So it really fluctuates among the grade levels. It's not a requirement that we meet the 8%. It's a guide to us to let us know this is what's average across the state. So we're not penalized for it in any way, but it's our guidance. We don't want to be over-identifying or under-identifying. So we should be on average with the state. We certainly believe that our kids have the potential of anybody across Texas. So that's our guide, but it varies grade to grade. But for example, you saw in kindergarten 1 was identified. We talked about that at length. We don't want to have one student all by themselves in their GT program. So we're looking at the peers in that grade level and can we get a good group going? And maybe it's in the referral process where kids are not being nominated. So those awareness meetings with teachers and parents, I think will really help us get a bigger pool of students to be tested.
Through the chair, Ms. Gonzalez, sometimes, well, back then, way back then when I was in the classroom, the hardest part was the parents to identify the children. Mm-hmm. A lot of parents don't think their kids are GT. And so maybe, you know, once the teacher identifies, maybe she should have a conversation of the things that the child does special at home. Because a lot of times I would bump in with parents because they never thought their kids were GT. Just throwing that in there. Thank you.
You're absolutely right. There is part of the identification process includes a form called a Ranzuli that the parent fills out with the characteristics they see at home, and the teacher fills out the characteristics they see in the classroom. And you're right, sometimes the parent scores them lower. Maybe it's being humble also,
Yes.
but sometimes the parent does score them low. But we make sure that we have multiple sources of information on the student so that one score doesn't throw them off. We have at least 7 sources of data in the identification process. And so I think those awareness sessions for parents will help to alleviate any of their concerns and give them a platform to ask questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this was informational only. If there's any more questions, I'm happy to hear them.
Any more questions? All right. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
Thank you.
The next order of business, Memorandum of Understanding to provide child and adolescent behavioral health services via telehealth. Ms. Gonzalez.
Mr. Flores, members of the board, Dr. Vigil, I'd like to present to you a memorandum of understanding provided to us by Texas Tech Health Science Center. I've been working with Dr. Eden Robles. She's not available for this board meeting tonight, so I'll do my best to give you the overview. This is an opportunity for Fabens to bring in doctors from Texas Tech that can work with our students in mental health services. It's through telehealth, so the responsibility on the district is to provide some campus contacts, which would be our counselors, and those counselors would be trained by Texas Tech in order to, on the referral process, and to identify students that need additional help beyond basic educational counseling. Then it's also our responsibility as a district under this agreement to find a location at each campus where there's privacy and there's technology set up so that the student can participate with these mental health services through a Zoom meeting or a Google Meets, just like we're doing tonight. The student would get 4 sessions, and those 4 sessions are the goal of Texas Tech is to stabilize the student or identify if that student has additional needs and make sure to connect the families with services beyond those 4 sessions. So in this memorandum of understanding, we did have an update that was sent to you just before the meeting. There was one thing that we asked them for. And so you'll see on page 2 of the MOU, which is, I believe, page 85 of your paper packet or 250 of your electronic packet. I do want to point out one change. You may have noticed under Article 4, which is compensation, it referred to a PIA that not to exceed the sum of initiative budgets, and that part has been removed. So in the new copy that we provided to you, Article 4 compensation reads only, both parties expressly acknowledge that nothing in this MOU will be construed as establishing an obligation of payment to either party by the other party. So we've removed that reference because there's no cost to the district for this service. So like you heard earlier, we're bringing in health services for our students, and we're also bringing in by this MOU mental health services for students. So they don't have to travel to get the help they need. We know when students' mental health is taken care of, then they're able to focus on their academic instruction and get the support that they need beyond the basic counseling that our counselors provide. The next step, should you approve this MOU, is to begin the training with Texas Tech, and our counselors would then be able to refer students with parent permission. It's optional for parents. They do not have to participate if they don't want their child to participate. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions?
Ms. Gonzalez, this is Mr. Morales.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I believe these are very, very good programs that we're bringing to our students here at Fabens ISD. And I mean, we can get this going. I mean,
I think you got muted in the middle.
To provide services, I mean, to provide services to our students and probably our staff also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Through the chair. And Mr. Morales is absolutely correct, and so is Ms. Gonzalez, because one of the biggest issues right now within our communities, well, really everywhere, is the mental health for our students and staff and community. So this is an awesome thing that's happening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Flores, I would like to acknowledge and thank Miss Gonzalez for, we were both really working really hard to get both of these items on the agenda because they're so related and they're so good for students. So thank you to Michelle Gonzalez for really working with our partner in this MOU to be able to present this to you today.
Thank you.
Well, thank you to both of you, because I know that on behalf of the board and our community, we all appreciate the hard work that y'all are doing to bring these services to our kids. So, I mean, I can't say enough. I'll go on and on and on. So I guess I won't. So, but thank you very much. It's really good to see this kind of stuff coming to Fabens and good partnerships.
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Flores, Dr. Vigil. I just want to ask you, was only you and Mrs. Gonzalez? Is there other people involved in trying to meet this effort for our community? Because I want to acknowledge that, there's other people that need to be thankful for this, because this is a great effort that is going to be presented to the board tonight. But also it's totally awesome that we can bring more services to our community, especially right now that we have the pandemic of COVID. And I guess with hand in hand with everything that's coming in, I think that it's awesome. But I would like to recognize everybody that's making an effort to acknowledge these kind of services to the telehealth behavior services at this time. Do you have other people?
Yes, absolutely, Ms. Gonzalez. This will require some work on behalf of our counselors to include our special ed counselor, all the campus counselors, and our technology department to get this going. So the first step is your approval. The next step is to get them on board, but never once have we had someone turn us down. I think you could see that in the other projects we have going, that the campuses are willing to support these projects. It is work, but we have a very hardworking staff, and that's what makes these projects possible.
Yes, ma'am. I was going through the packet. I saw it earlier of all the people, the names that the key persons that are involved, to where we need to acknowledge everybody that has been working very hard on these efforts, bringing it to Fabens. And again, I want to thank you again to everybody that is involved in administrating this effort. I think it's totally awesome to where people are working together as teams to bring more health services to our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Gonzalez. And we will be meeting with our counselors this Friday to go over next steps. So with your approval, and if you could read, the administration recommends approval of the MOU to provide child and adolescent behavioral health services via telehealth.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Ben Morales, second by Mr. Ray Sepulveda. Motion has been made and second is now open for discussion. If there's no discussion, I'll call the question. Mr. Sepulveda.
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mrs. Gallo Avita.
Aye.
Mr. Morales.
Aye.
Mr. Spence.
Aye.
Mr. Flores. Aye. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, next order of business, discuss and approve superintendent constraints and superintendent constraint progress measures. Dr. Vigil.
President Flores and board members, this wording should look very familiar to you. We've worked on this and I'm really excited about the progress that we've made overall with Lone Star governance. And so today we present the constraints along with the constraint progress measures. I'll read only the constraints. Superintendent shall not allow the district to be fiscally unsound. Superintendent shall not allow any tolerance for bullying or harassment in Fabens ISD. Superintendent shall not allow adult preferences or conveniences to distract from accomplishing the student outcome goals. We have talked about the constraint progress measures that would be reported to you on a monthly basis. We still have some work to go, but at this time, administration recommends approval of the superintendent constraints and superintendent constraint progress measures as presented.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Is it Gonzalez?
Okay, motion has been made by Mrs. Sylvia Gonzalez, second by Mr. Ben Morales. Motion has been made and the second is now open for discussion. If there's no discussion, I'll call the question. Mr. Sepulveda.
Aye.
Mrs. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mrs. Gallo Avitia.
Aye.
Mr. Morales.
Aye.
Mr. Spence.
Aye.
Mr. Flores. Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Next order of business, 2020-2021 new hires. Ms. Audrey Ortegon Galvan.
Yes. Good evening, Board President, Mr. Flores, board members, Dr. Vigil, and community members. I have the pleasure of presenting one of our new employees, our newest addition to the Fabens family. His name is Mr. Hugo Tellez. He's our new accounts payable clerk in the Child Nutrition Department. Mr. Tellez.
Good evening, Mr. Flores, Vigil, and board members.
Good evening, sir.
And Mr. Marcel Sanchez was unable to be with us this evening. He is our newest English teacher at the high school. Again, I welcome these two individuals to our Fabens family, and we look forward to a long career with them. Thank you, board members, board president, Dr. Vigil, and community. Have a good night.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Tellez and Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Who second, Mr. Sepulveda?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Sepulveda,
Yes, sir.
that's an aye. Ms. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mrs. Gallo Avitia?
Aye.
Morales?
Aye.
Mr. Spence?
Aye.
Flores, aye. Motion carries 6-0. Have a good night. Thank you.